You may have heard me mention that for the last 4 months I've been part of a chaplaincy internship at Bridgeport Hospital. But when I was first accepted into the program, I started telling people the good news. And I got all kinds of compliments and words of wisdom. A chaplain, that experience is going to be really life-changing for you. Congrats! It's so great that you can help people like that. Bridgeport, huh? You better bring a gun. Those words caught me off guard, though I can't say they were really all that shocking. We're surrounded by comments like that constantly. Here are just a few things I've seen local people write online. One person once wrote, "Happy New Year. I'm taking bets on who'll have the first homicide of the year. My money is on Bridgeport or New Haven." Another wrote, "I'm tired of all our state elections being decided by all the people crammed into our inner cities. What about the opinions of everyone else?" As a society, we love to generalize and label people based on where they come from. I'm not even just talking about inner cities. One of my chaplaincy instructors flipped things around on me and asked, "How do you know people don't have a negative assumption about you because you're from Milford?" He was absolutely right. Why should I assume that people think more highly of me because of where I come from and look down on those from other places? From the cities and towns struggling with poverty to those associated with extreme wealth, let's see a show of hands for who can think of certain places nearby that maybe you've made assumptions about in the past. I know I'm 100% guilty of this. In the gospel lesson that Barbara just read for us, we see these same human behaviors playing out 2,000 years ago. Jesus is just beginning his ministry, so there's no miracles being done or large crowds to follow him or be healed by him. And the Bible only mentions like 3 followers at this point. So when one of those followers, Philip, tries to get his Nathanael hyped up about this supposed Messiah, Jesus of Nazareth, it's understandable that there's not really a lot to wow him with just yet. But it's Nathanael's reaction that makes him sound like all those people I mentioned earlier. He says, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Now, if Philip and Nathanael were living in 2024, I could picture how this conversation might play out. Online, of course, because that's where our juiciest debates usually happen. Philip passes along an article to Nathanael titled, "Will the real Messiah please stand up? Why Jesus of Nazareth is about to change everything." Nathanael rolls his eyes at Philip and tells him, Nathanael rolls his eyes, and Philip tells him, "Just give the guy a follow. You should see some of the content he's putting out." Unfortunately, Nathanael's confirmation bias causes him to only read, watch, and listen to the people who think like he does. "This dude is from Nazareth," Nathanael retorts. "There's nothing good coming out of that little Galilean village." Philip quickly points out the irony of this. "Bro, your village is also in Galilee." And taking these words as an insult, Nathanael angrily writes back, "You are not seriously comparing Cana to Nazareth. We are nothing like those people." It's at this point that Philip and Nathanael try to one-up and fact-check each other with competing articles that show why their view is clearly the right one. I don't know about you, but I'm already exhausted with this conversation, and we haven't even gotten to the part where they devolve into name-calling and posting insulting memes to one another. But Philip, as we heard, takes a different route. He doesn't set out to debate someone who already has his mind made up about certain people and places. He extends an invitation to come and see for himself. I don't think we can overstate the importance of allowing us to see others as they are, or the importance of finally being seen ourselves. So let's practice this for a moment. Some of you did this back with me in 2019 as part of a seminary project. Each of you should have gotten a little photo when you came in, and do you guys have one? If you don't, Carol, could you just run up a couple photos for Bruce and Wayne? And if anybody else needs one, we can get you some. So while those are being passed out, some of you did this back with me. If you're attending our service online, Ed is going to show you a photo on the screen. And I'd ask each of you to take a moment and look at the person before you. Not just as a flat image on a piece of paper or a screen, but as a living person. And as you look into this person's eyes, recall someone from your life who they represent. The skin color, the hair, the clothes might be different, but who does this person remind you of? Is it a family member, a friend, someone from work or church? Maybe it's even you this picture brings to mind. I'm going to ask 3 questions. You're welcome to keep your answers private, but if an answer comes up for you and you'd like to share, just raise your hand and I'll have Barbara grab the wireless mic and bring it over so you can share. And if you're joining us online, I invite you to share your answers in the chat with one another and with us. So as you're looking at your picture, my first question is, who do you see?
My dad.
Thank you, Rosa.
My granddaughter.
I see my daughter.
So I see my great niece, who is biracial, and how old is she? 16. And has very white siblings and extended family. And so I'm wondering in this beautiful picture, what is it really like for her? What has it really been like for her? What are the challenges that she's faced? Where does she fit in?
Thank you. Question number 2. Who don't you hear? Sometimes this might be assumptions that we might make about people. But in this picture, maybe we're not seeing those assumptions met. So as you look at this person, who aren't you hearing?
I am not hearing a lot of angry people because it's a beautiful baby.
That's perfect. Thank you. Question 3, as you look at this person before you. Where is hope? Yeah, Rosa.
In his eyes and in his very small smile.
His eyes and his small smile. Nice. Anne.
In her eyes and the baseball glove that she's holding, and hoping as a young child that she'll be able to become somebody maybe connected to baseball.
Love that. By what she's holding, we can see what her future might hold for her. Yeah, Carol?
In his actions, the boy carrying firewood, hope for help and assistance. Okay.
Nice. Carrying firewood shows that he's hope and helper. Yes?
And I look at this and just the fact that she's showing up.
Hope and just showing up. The simplest of things, but profound. Yeah, Bruce?
Well, my first thought was hope is in this room. I
Mm.
hope. And the person here is holding a cell phone, so maybe hope is in a phone call.
Mm. Yeah, Wayne.
This is a tough one because this is a picture of an elderly man with a cigarette in his hand, and looks like he's ready to take a drag, but he still has like this look, almost as he's given up on it. He goes, "I'm old. Just let me just die." Or, I can't figure it out.
Mm.
This is a really tough one. Maybe someone can help. He could be even homeless. Raggedy T-shirt. He's so skinny. So maybe he's hoping he can find some place to either live and get food. I don't know.
I love that, Wayne. Sometimes the hope's not just in what we're feeling, but maybe the hope's coming from outside ourselves.
Outside,
Yeah, Bruce?
Hey, Rob, I want to go to your second question.
Yeah.
Who are we not hearing from? 'Cause
Yeah.
the reason I didn't answer is there's just so many, and I was sort of focusing on I'm not hearing from this woman.
Yeah.
But I'm not hearing from people with AIDS, or I'm not hearing from the people in Gaza very often. I'm not hearing from people in prisons, or political prisoners, or people that are in danger of violence. There's so many people I'm not really exposed to unless I go out of my way to find out, because they don't exactly, even when the person on the street who's asking for money when you drive by, I'm not really hearing from them to know what's going on, because I'm a little bit afraid and I'm not sure and I don't trust them. And maybe that's not the time and place, but if I'm not going out of my way to find out what's really going on with these people, then I'm not hearing from them at all. There's a lot. I'm not hearing from a lot.
Thank you. There's a lot to be said for proximity to others. Yeah.
One more, this is a powerful picture. Again, it's an infant, and I think my hope, or the hope that I'm seeing is in this whole next generation.
There's a lot of hope in the future generations, absolutely. Now, what about the people in life? We've just taken some time to actually see these people in front of us. But what about the people who aren't seen in life? The people we lump together when we ask, can anything good come out of there? There's a quote from psychologist William James that I've used a few times in things over the years because it paints such a vivid picture. James wrote, "No more fiendish punishment could be devised, were such a thing physically possible, than that one should be turned loose on society and remain absolutely unnoticed by all the members thereof. If no one turned around when we entered, answered when we spoke, or minded what we did, but if every person cut us dead and acted as if we were non-existent things, a kind of rage and impotent despair would before long well up in us, from which the cruelest bodily torture would be a relief." What emotions come to mind when you hear that quote? Anyone? Sadness. What was that, Sandy? Yes.
What did she say?
You said desperation? Desperation, absolutely. Sadness, desperation. I'm going to write some of these down. These are good. Anyone else?
Suicide?
Suicide.
I felt empathy. I remember first going to college and feeling alone in a room with hundreds of people.
These are powerful words, really strong ones. With all we've just discussed, I have one final exercise for you. It again comes from Fearless Dialogues, and it's been conducted with people from all walks of life, gang leaders, corporate executive, students trying to discern their path in life. And for those of you in person, when you first walked in the sanctuary, you should have chosen a name tag from one of 6 possibilities. If you haven't, pop on back there and Carol can help you out with that. But it's a name tag that you feel describes you. And the names on those tags are artist, healer, educator, neighbor, connector, and activist. So again, if you didn't get one, raise your hand or just head on back and we can make sure you get one. But now here's the fun part. Find someone in the room who chose the same description for themselves and sit next to them. I know the neighbors are going to have no problem here because I think we practically ran out. And I always love this because we instantly find something in common with people we might not have expected. And for
Joe, you're all alone and yours says neighbor. There's something wrong with that.
and for anyone with limited mobility, please just stay seated and someone can come to you. Let's see. Oh, good. And as those in the room are finding a partner, and if you don't find someone who exactly matches up, you can partner up with, it's gonna have to be pairs of 2, so if you find someone who doesn't have a partner, even if they're different, you can still
I just want
find
to
them.
say, you got father and son both as neighbors. You can split them up. Are there other neighbors?
Oh, yeah. Oh, connected, there we go. You know what? Oh, here we go.
Sure, we could be artists together.
Perfect. And yeah, I would also say try to find someone, if possible, who you didn't come with. Additional challenge here.
Are there any other neighbors?
And it doesn't have to, if it's not the same exact one, that's fine too, because we still learn something about each other.
I just want to say, how many people had neighbor name tags? All right, so see, there's some neighbors here that are father and son. There's some neighbors over there. Guys.
And who doesn't have a partner yet? Because it's going to be pairs of 2, so let's see. Oh, here we go. All right, and now while I've caused some holy chaos in the sanctuary, for those of you participating online at home or wherever you are, you might have someone sitting with you that you can partner up with. Or if you're alone, you can, I'll have Ed put another image on the screen right now. Or, and this part I haven't tried before, but if you're at home and you're by yourself and you don't want to look at the image, find a mirror to use. Because I've had some profound moments in my life when I've stared at myself in the mirror and saw things I didn't know were there. So there's a lot to be said from just finding a mirror. Part of the reason we say things like, can anything good come out of there, is because we keep those people and places at a distance. Like Bruce was saying, proximity, there's something about how close we actually are to seeing these things happening, to seeing these people. And yeah, physical distance for sure, but we also keep them abstract in our minds. If they're just those people from that city, the need to help when something threatens them or someone belittles them doesn't really feel quite as strong in us. But when things happen to real people that we've personally encountered, we can't look away. And so Fearless Dialogues came up with this exercise called a long, loving look at the real. Gregory Ellison, the one who created it, says it's long enough to feel unhurried and loving enough to see the real person before you. All the nicks and dents and scars of neighbors, strangers, and unlikely partners. He says, in this space, we suppress the need to analyze, argue, describe, or define. Many people who have done this in the past have found this to be extremely transformative. Now, one catch, make sure you don't have any furniture or other obstacles between you and your partner. And decide which of you is person A and which of you is person B. And when oh, there we go. when we're all ready, person A will ask person B for permission to look lovingly at them in their most real state. And here's the part that makes some people a little awkward. You'll be looking at your partner for 90 seconds. And if someone told me a week ago I was going to put 3 minutes of silence into a sermon, I would have thought they were nuts. But here we are. So in order to keep this a safe environment for everyone, please keep your loving looks above the shoulder. Also, this is unfamiliar territory for a lot of us. So often, laughter is not something that's uncommon that comes out in this. It can be a little uncomfortable. It can be a little jarring for us. But as Gregory Ellison says, laughter occurs to move us to a deeper space. And after 90 seconds has gone by, we'll switch roles, and person B will ask permission of person A, and we'll repeat the long, loving look. Now, I'll be fair here. If anyone's uncomfortable with this exercise, doing this exercise with a partner, you're welcome to use in the back. Under the picture of Jesus on the table there, I've put photos of other people, and you can do that exercise there. But I would challenge you, if you'd like, to stick with that discomfort, because if possible, you may see you're surprised by what happens.
Question.
Yes?
Does the person being looked upon need to look back?
You don't have to. If you're too uncomfortable, you don't have to. But I think there is something powerful about looking back. But I think it's also kind of in our human nature, I think, sometimes to look away if we're looked at. So don't speak. No speaking. You can laugh, though, like I said. That comes naturally. So, let's see what happens. Is everyone ready? Yep, it's going to be very simple. Person A, you're going to ask permission of your partner to look lovingly at them for 90 seconds. And I will count down to 3, and then we'll begin. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay. I had to stop my thing by hand because I realized I accidentally set it for an hour and 30 minutes, and that would have gotten really awkward really fast. Okay. And is there anyone, if anybody here doesn't have a partner or needs one, let me know. I can jump in. But I'm happy to just be on this end and watch. So. Okay, at this time, partner B, ask partner A for permission to look lovingly at them. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead. Okay. Thank you all. So now I'm curious, after doing that, how did it feel to look lovingly into the eyes of the real person before you? And how did it feel to have someone look lovingly at the real you? Dorothy?
I thought I was more comfortable looking and lovingly than having to look at me.
Sandy?
Felt comforting.
You should repeat back so people can
Yeah,
hear.
sorry. Dorothy, you said it was more comfortable to look than to be looked at. And Sandy, you said it was comforting. Yeah, Gina.
It was more emotional, for me, it was more emotional, brought out more emotions being looked at than when I was looking at.
I hear some agreement. Yeah. Yes.
So I think it was emotional for me to look at the other person, and I think maybe because you don't ever get an opportunity to look that way at someone. So there's a certain depth that you never ever, it's like you're looking into their soul.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Carol?
My partner was told, and how is it not, how can I not look lovingly into that? And it made me feel kind of motherly just having a son around his age.
Aww.
But I noticed that the lovingness was reciprocal both times. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Wayne?
I actually got brought back to, I felt like I went back to childhood. I used to have these scare fights at kids. I won a lot, and they only did it with people I felt close with. And I always felt close with her, so
Thank
it
you.
was comfortable.
And you kept trying to make me laugh, by making faces,
Yeah.
which is really
Thank you.
I felt it established a
Mm.
connection. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Well,
Not long enough.
not long enough. Thank you. Karen.
No, I'm reading, but at the same time, kind of awkward because I only got to the theology seat.
That's the real us, right? Yeah.
It evoked a lot of curiosity.
Mm.
So as I was looking at Karen, I mean, I'm just thinking, where are you from? What have you been through? Just like a zillion questions because we couldn't talk.
Yeah.
Ask, but that was really an experience of curiosity.
An experience and curiosity. I love that. Yeah, it evokes a lot of questions. And you can't ask them. Yeah, Barbara.
I was just thinking it would be much harder to do staring at myself.
Yeah, if anybody online did staringly, lovingly at yourself in the mirror, I'd love to hear in the comments because that can be challenging. Not always easy to love ourselves. Yes?
It was a wonderful opportunity to be able to, without words, just try to understand someone you're sitting with for 90 seconds, but to also just somehow send a message that I see you.
Mm.
I see you.
Okay, I could be writing things down here for a while, I can tell. But let's think about the words we just compared, or these words we just had, to the words we associated with being cut dead in that previous quote. When just now we heard, there's a mixture of discomfort and also comfort. It was emotional, there was depth, we could look into their soul, took us back to childhood. There was reciprocal love, not long enough. There was connection. It was emotional to be looked at, and there was curiosity when we took the time to lovingly look at somebody. And when we heard about being cut dead, we said there was sadness, desperation, suicide, hopelessness, and empathy. What a difference it makes when we follow that invitation to come and see. As a matter of fact, that was what helped me see Bridgeport and its residents as more than just stories and comments I had heard from others. Remember Bridgeport? I had a whole story about it before taking you down this rabbit hole before. But it was invitations over the years to meet the employees of places like the Bridgeport Y or Brewport. It was Melissa's invitation to me this summer to experience Seaside Park, the beach she used to lifeguard at, where I witnessed the most amazing blend of cultures and music and Italian ice. It was beginning my chaplaincy at the hospital and being invited to these sacred spaces of people's hospital rooms at their bedsides where medical teams worked together and gave everything they had to save their patients' lives, where families shared moments of tremendous joy and tremendous grief, where people wrestled with life and death decisions, where people confessed secrets they'd held onto for years, and where I could find myself forever changed by people I just met. None of these things happen if I allow myself to only hear the noisy chatter of people who refuse to truly see things for themselves. So when we read pieces of scripture like in today's gospel, where people have these epiphanies and suddenly see Jesus for who he is, where they suddenly see God before them and around them, maybe those moments shouldn't be so shocking. Nathanael certainly comes to Jesus as a skeptic, but the shift happens when Jesus shares that he sees Nathanael in ways he couldn't possibly imagine, telling him, "I saw you under that fig tree even before Philip called you." He even sees the kind of person Nathanael is deep down, calling him an Israelite in whom there is no deceit, Sounds a little awkward to our modern ears, but it's a reference to their ancestor Jacob, an Israelite who is known to be quite deceptive at times. Jesus' words at the end about angels ascending and descending even bring to mind that Jacob's ladder story that a lot of us probably heard in Sunday school, in which Jacob is shown this vision of angels ascending and descending from heaven. It's all part of Jacob's own epiphany, where he hears God say everything that his future holds for him. But it's what Jacob says next in that story that sums up today's call to come and see. Upon awaking from this dream, this vision, Jacob looks around him and says, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." When we get a look at the people we've made assumptions about, the real them that we see, we can't help but notice the ways that they're created in the image of God. And if we can learn to see God in all these cities and all these people who've been dismissed, we too may say in astonishment, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." Amen.